Welcome back, guys. BJ the Brave here with another Tau reveal. I am super excited not only to bring you four more cards from the very close to being released now new Tau faction, but I'm also joined by co-content creator Long Tim. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Hey BJ, I'm doing great, man. I'm just super excited for this. So thanks for having me on.
Oh well, it's cool. It's great to have you on. I think the idea here, guys, is that so just so you know is obviously I've seen these cards. Long Tim hasn't seen the cards. So basically, as we reveal them and you're seeing them for the first time, Tim's also seeing them for the first time. So it's kind of like cool that you're just going to get someone responding live and in the moment and reacting just as you may well be doing, sitting there at home and watching. All right, so we know that the release is going to come out on the 21st of March. That's Thursday, the 21st, which is only a few days away now. And we also know that EG plan to put all of the cards from the reveal up on the day before, so on Wednesday the 20th. So that is coming as well. Okay, so without further ado, Tim, if you're ready, let's get into the reveals. So first of all, quick reminder about the marker drone, because one of the cards is going to pertain to this. The marker drone is 3 health for a 2-drop, and it obviously at the start of your turn, if it survives, it puts marker like 1 onto a random enemy. So quick reminder. So first new reveal. The fire caste constitutes the warriors of Tau society. It is their duty to protect the other castes and to eliminate any foe who opposes the will of the Tau Empire. So here we go. We got our standard fire warrior. I've been kind of looking forward to seeing how they did the basic troop. Obviously, 2 energy cost for 2 health, 2 melee attack, which I think is pretty kind, to be honest, for a fire warrior, and 4 ranged attack. So what's your initial thoughts to that one, Tim?
Yeah, geez, I mean definitely the 4 ranged jumps out, and even the 2 melee is not too bad. Obviously, you look at the 2 health and you're like, all right, so every warlord for the most part is gonna be able to clear this unit, but it just made me immediately think about I cannot remember his name, but the warlord that we've seen so far that has I think it's the talent that gives health to I think it's all units I want to say, but so that's what comes to mind of like, I mean obviously it's a common, it's the sort of like poster child fire warrior card that's not supposed to maybe be so powerful, but I do wonder if there's a way to kind of cheat some health onto something like this that could take advantage of the huge ranged attack for 2 energy.
Yeah, well, I think the faction stratagem from the Forge is going to help this guy. And also, I think where I think we might see this guy is that I think Tau are going to be able to do a quite kind of go wide strategy, probably using drones for the most part. I actually think the Fire Warrior might fit into that, because if you can put this down at the same time as say 4 or 5 drones and have some Vanguard on there, so this guy's hiding behind it, that 4 range damage adding up with all the drones could actually be pretty potent for a cheap cost. But other than that, I don't think he's particularly great. But none of the standard, like like the slugger, the Orc boy is not very good, is he, and whatnot. So yeah. All right. So shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So we had the Marketron. Okay, next up we've got the Crisis Bodyguard. It is a great honour to be selected as a bodyguard for one of the Fire Cast commanders. These warriors will protect their charge at their own peril without a second thought. So here we've got a 4-drop, 4 health, Vanguard, and shield automatically. Massive 5 range attack, and of course the weakness being the melee with only 2 melee attack. What do you think to this guy?
Interesting kind of take on the like 4-drop staple rare. I mean, I'm just thinking Ultramarines in my head of the 4-drop that's just kind of like reasonable stats, but it does have 5 health instead of 4 health, and but it doesn't have shield. I mean, and we saw that shield might have been coming on other cards that was previewed earlier, and I mean, shield is pretty annoying to deal with. Obviously, it doesn't stop some sort of like targeted removal that just destroys something, but it certainly disrupts anything that does damage, right? Because you have to you have to invest in it to then clear it later. So I imagine this can fill a nice part on the curve for maybe like a tempo
Mm.
sort of aggro strategy. I am just interested to see how Shield plays out in a unit like this.
Yeah, it's kind of good getting it cheap on a on a fairly cheap unit. We've not really seen this in the game. I actually think this is very powerful because what would you rather have? Would you rather have Vanguard and 5 health or Vanguard with 4 health and a shield? Like they've got to on turn 4, turn 5, they've got to put a resource into trading with it. Even if it's the Warlord, the Warlord's going to hit you, take 2 damage, and basically not reduce your 4 health. Whereas if you were a 5 health Vanguard, that Warlord hitting you would put you down to 3, wouldn't it? So I actually think you come out net totally, you're going to benefit from the shield. And to your point about hard, I mean, if they use hard removal on the 4-drop, then you're pretty happy about that, to be fair. So I think this is kind of interesting, and I'm also wondering whether again, there seems to be a bit of a theme occurring now with the cards we've seen, that there seems to be around kind of being able to build a board. We haven't got tons of flankers, so in being able to build and maintain a board for a turn. And so that's why I'm very interested in the Vanguard units, right? Because they're going to play a role in protecting the other units, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think Shield and Vanguard, rather than Vanguard and 5 health, is very reasonable, and I agree that Vanguard in particular, I think for this faction, we're all probably going to have to shift our expectations a little bit because of exactly what you said around building a board, and anything that enables you to do that and has like a decent floor on the card is probably something we want to be looking at.
Yeah, and I think the main drawback, as always, is that this guy's probably never going to get to use that 5 range attack. It's probably you're gonna put him down, and he's going to get taken out. But they're all going to be trading on his melee attack, right? So it's going to be doing 2 damage to everything. But again, if you play this early game, I think it's pretty good. All right, let's move on to the next one. Cold Star Battlesuit, favoured by commanders who seek to be everywhere at once. The XV-86 Battlesuit is capable of soaring at high speed over the battlefield or even operating in the cold void of space. So we got a big boy here, 7 drop, 7 health. It's got a whopping 8 range attack and 4 melee. And this unit is flying, so it's much more likely to be forcing trades against the 8, which I really like. When you deploy a troop, give it +2 health. Companion 2 marker drones. So remember we showed the marker drones at the start of this, and that's why, because this guy actually comes with companion 2. Yeah, what do you think to the Cold Star, Tim?
Wow, I mean there's a lot going on, and I'm pretty into companion in general as a way to really stop from running out of steam, and essentially having these kind of modal casting costs where you can pay 7. Is marker drone is 2 energy? Is that how much it costs? I think if it's 2 energy, then you can play this on 7, 9, or 11, right? And you can get either just the battlesuit plus marker drone, or 2 energy, or the battlesuit plus 2 marker drones, and they're both getting +2 health, but also anything you play after this can get +2 health. I mean, it's got a lot going. I just wonder if this is something where it's obviously incredibly powerful if you have set up into it, meaning you've got Vanguard or you've got something that makes this card a little bit harder to potentially deal with. I'm just wondering, in terms of the speed of the format and like when Tau drop, is this something that you can ignore and just like try and close out the game, or is this something that you absolutely are going to have to deal with, and because of the amount of value that it's giving you? So yeah. I do think that I want to test this and sort of see how it works in the curve of the deck, but it's certainly offering quite a lot in one card.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is that there are ways to cheat out drones, and so you can play drones quite soon after this and get the health benefit. I like what you're saying about companion and how it kind of scales with depending on how much energy you've got to spend. The biggest thing with this guy, I think he'll be a bit weaker against Eldar, because he is a flying unit, and Eldar have more flying sort of flanking units that could take 7 down pretty easily. But I think other factions are going to really struggle with this guy. Being a flyer, I think Chaos and I think Tyranids are really going to struggle to deal with this guy. He's going to be a beast against them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is very worth mentioning that flying is going to tip this card in certain matchups for
Mm,
sure.
interesting. Interesting. Okay, and so we got one more card, and this one is a legendary experimental drones. Ethereals control access to numerous classified new technological developments of the Earthcast and look for optimal time to reveal them. So this one reads, for the rest of this battle, give shield to all drones you deploy. What do you think to this one, Tim?
What is this card? Oh my god. I mean, this just has to be a staple in any deck that's remotely playing drones. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're paying for energy to not necessarily affect the board, right? Because it's going to be for the rest of the battle, anything that comes after it. But shield to all drones when you play them.
Mm.
You already want them to live because they've got start of turn triggers and all of that. I mean, this card just seems like an absolute monster for drones.
It's do you think it's fast enough?
I I do. I think this is going to be okay in the sense that, right, you're starting on 2 energy, right? So it's basically a third turn into the game you can cast this. And I think, like, unless the format becomes like lightning fast, and I'm not really sure that we've even seen something that would make it so, like, doing quote nothing on turn 4 would completely take you out of the game. I mean, I think this is probably costed correctly. If it was getting towards 5 and 6, it's just a little too late,
Mm.
most likely. So I think, but also I don't know. Maybe this is also too early if we have enough setup for drones or just Tau in general, where this just feels like an absolute kind of I don't know, just insurmountable sort of advantage. So it's hard to say, but I just have to think off the bat that this is a strong card.
Yeah, I think if we can drag the games later, then this becomes super powerful. But obviously, to get that value back, and play enough drones out and that get shield after paying for essentially nothing, it's going to take a little while. So it's a tiny bit slow, but it's super powerful, and you're starting to now see why these drone armies are going to be a problem, especially because we found out that the starting warlord actually produces drones, right? So even the warlord power is going to be producing a drone with shield every single turn, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with your thoughts here, BJ, and I just think that there's this seems like it's going to be quite scary, and I imagine any deck that are running companion cards, or if companion cards really live up to the hype with the incidental value that you can gain off of the drones, I just imagine experimental drones is going to fit really well into that sort of strategy.
Yeah, super exciting. So there we have it, guys. Four reveals from us today. We are going to be getting another 4 cards from the Ecclesiarch in a very short amount of time, in about 45 minutes. I think 6 p.m. UTC. He's going to be releasing his video. So he's got some very exciting cards to reveal, so stay tuned. Massive thanks, Tim, for coming on and sharing your initial reaction.
Thank you, BJ. This was my pleasure.
And just so you know, guys, the Ecclesiarch and Long Tim and I are going to be doing a podcast once all of the cards are out. We're going to be recording the next episode of Forgecast this week, where we will be getting into it and doing a bit of a deep dive around our kind of thoughts around the Tau faction and all the cards that we've seen, and kind of some of the early builds that we're going to start playing with. So I'll look forward to you joining us for that one, Tim, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and until then, we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.